up to Frozen's release, I made a video showcasing the top 10 Disney princess songs, wondering how Let It Go would fit into Disney Animation's musical legacy. And now we know that Let It Go turned out to be as powerful as a blizzard itself, not only freezing out all the competition, but going beyond the animation genre to become one of the most popular songs in any movie ever, period. Now as Maleficent hits theaters, it too features a song that has captured audiences' attention, Lana Del Rey's cover of Once Upon a Dream. So as Disney turns its attention from princesses to villains, let's turn our attention to Disney villain songs. Here's my list of the top 10, with links in the video description to the songs themselves. And this list was surprisingly hard to put together, as apparently Disney villains don't find singing as therapeutic as the rest of us. So, mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the 10th most wicked song of all? Just like on the eve of Frozen's release, we don't know yet how popular the song will be in the long run. But one thing working against Lana Del Rey's cover of Once Upon a Dream is that, unlike Let It Go, this song does not appear in the actual film. That's because it was conceived by Disney's PR department as part of Maleficent's ad campaign. It's nice to see a publicity department help a film for once instead of handicapping it. At first, Disney was going to run an ad simply featuring the original 1959 song, but senior marketing VP Jackson George pitched the idea of doing a twisted version of the song that played like a horror film. And lightning struck twice, because not only did he come up with the idea, but the higher-ups actually approved it. Now, some have tried to give Angelina Jolie credit for picking Lana Del Rey to do this new version, but Mitchell Lieb, president of music for Disney Film, claims it was his idea. Either way, it was a good idea, as Del Rey had already enchanted audiences with Young and Beautiful for The Great Gatsby last year, a song which many felt was unjustly snubbed by the Oscars, not even earning a nomination. But perhaps the Academy will sing a different tune for her version of Once Upon a Dream? Recorded in just 4 days, the song debuted as part of a special trailer that played during the Grammys, followed by an offer to download it for free off of Google Play. The result? It's the fastest downloaded track in Google Play history. But can a song that only plays over the end credits truly carve out a place in the film history books? After all, that means no nifty film sequence to go along with it, a crucial component to the success of any song in a feature film, live action or animated. Then again, that's not Angelina Jolie singing anyway, is it? Would she be willing to pull a Natalie Wood or Audrey Hepburn and let another person join her in creating the on-screen persona of this iconic villain? Because heck, Lana Del Rey sure sounds like Maleficent, singing Princess Aurora's signature song from her own dark, twisted viewpoint, which is kind of the point of the entire movie, right? Okay, mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the 9th most wicked song of all? This is a great villain song, but it's not so wicked, is it? It's probably the villain song audiences most want to sing along with, and it seems like it should be sung in a high school cafeteria, which it kind of is. In fact, this song is so infectious that I still think Disney should give tourists the opportunity to sing it along with Gaston himself at his new tavern, which recently opened in Walt Disney World. But beyond the fun component of Gaston, it's another example of Howard Ashman's talent as a lyricist and a storyteller. Gaston tells you everything you need to know about the character without seeming like exposition at all, and it even moves the story along, as it's this song, sung by Gaston's male and female admirers alike, which cheers him up enough to hatch his evil plan to finally persuade Belle to marry him. A plan he hatches after the song. Yes, speaking of telling you everything you need to know about a character, this is the only Disney villain song which is not actually about hatching an evil plan or how the villain treats other characters in the film. It's all about him, and that's pure Gaston. Now, mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the 8th most wicked song of all? Hey, there aren't a lot of Disney villain songs, okay? But this is one heck of a catchy tune sung by Cy and Am, the villainous Siamese cats in Lady and the Tramp. Popular jazz singer Peggy Lee wrote several of the songs for the 1955 animated film, which was a huge box office hit for Disney Animation. She also voiced Peg, Darling, and Cy and Am. And Disney not only wanted Lee's talent, but her fame, having her help promote the film on the popular Disney TV show Wonderful World of Color. Viewers got to go behind the scenes to see how Lee recorded this duet. But Disney did indeed end up grabbing a cat by the tail, as Lee would later sue the studio in 1988, claiming she was owed royalties for the VHS releases. And after 3 years, she finally won, taking home $2.3 million. Look, anyone who writes a song about drowning a fish, you don't want to mess with. All right, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, what's the 7th most wicked song of all? All of Pocahontas' villain songs sort of run together, probably because Governor Ratcliffe is a pretty one-note villain. But the strength of Pocahontas is in its messages rather than its story or its historical accuracy, and that applies to Ratcliffe as well. Savages does an excellent job of depicting fear-mongering, which is unfortunately another tale as old as time. And the song goes even further by portraying both sides of the conflict and underscoring how assumptions and action before diplomacy can lead to unnecessary violence. In fact, that's what makes Savages such a terrifying musical sequence, as we know these horrors are all too real, not only between the actual settlers and Native Americans, but today as well. It's that time again, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. What's the 6th most wicked song of all? Speaking of evil, many of you made me out to be the villain for my disparaging remarks about the Hunchback of Notre Dame soundtrack and my list of top 10 Disney princess songs. And this is the very song we disagree over. I feel Hellfire is far too risque, with Frollo singing about wanting to make Esmeralda his own, more in a Game of Thrones way than a Disney animation way. And if she says no, then burn her at the stake. If misogyny had a theme song, this would be it. Indeed, Hellfire was problematic for Disney, causing many movie critics to warn parents that the film was not for young children. Plus, conservative groups boycotted the film because of Hellfire and how it portrayed a member of the church. That had an effect on the film's bottom line, causing the Disney Renaissance to hit a new low at the box office, and to make matters worse, with its biggest budget yet. But today, upon reflection, I can see where some of you are coming from as well with your admiration for Hellfire. The animation in this sequence is superb, and thanks to shows like Game of Thrones, this kind of racy subject matter has definitely become more mainstream. Was the Hunchback of Notre Dame ahead of its time? And we are talking villain songs, so Frollo should get points for going there. So what can top Hellfire? Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, what's the 5th most wicked song of all? Really? Mother Gothel's Mean Girls routine against Rapunzel is more wicked than Frollo wanting to have his way with Esmeralda or kill her? Yes! Few things are more cruel, downright sinister, than a parental figure abusing the love and trust of their child. It's an unexpected evil, and yet another element you wouldn't expect to see in a family film. In the song, Mother Gothel uses a mix of guilt and helpful tips to manipulate Rapunzel into doing exactly what she wants. The kind of emotional paper cuts that can really sting and have lifelong repercussions. Life is hard enough, but when your loved ones don't believe in you and undercut you, now that's a real-life villain, the kind we're all most likely to actually run into. A villain who cuts deep with a warm smile on their face. So yes, Mother Knows Best might not seem like a very evil song, but that's exactly the point. Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, what's the 4th most wicked song of all? The Princess and the Frog doesn't get enough credit across the board, but today let's focus on its villain song, Friends on the Other Side. The entire soundtrack has a very distinct feel, and that's because it doesn't share the Broadway roots of the other Disney princess soundtracks. This one was composed by Pixar favorite Randy Newman, who drew strongly from the time period of the film, 1920s New Orleans and its African-American community, incorporating jazz, zydeco, blues, and gospel. And on that note, the film's villain, Dr. Facilier, is a voodoo witch doctor, something that Newman and the animators ran with to great effect. Yes, not only is the song itself bewitching, but the visuals that accompany it are just as mesmerizing and haunting. The entire sequence hints at much darker forces at work and the cost of making a deal with them. Rarely are audiences made aware of an overall darker nature at work in Disney animation. It's usually just one rotten apple. And Dr. Facilier is old school, not just in that he's hand-drawn, but that his animator, Bruce Smith, said that he imagined Dr. Facilier as the love child of Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil. And his parents' showmanship is certainly on display in Friends on the Other Side. Also, Dr. Facilier was the first villain since Frollo to once again have his very own musical number. All right, just 3 songs left. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the third most wicked song of all? Speaking of Mother, here she is with a very unique musical number. While most Disney villain songs are about how wonderful a villain is or how great their plans are, Cruella de Vil is making fun of her. In fact, this song even saves the day. See, songwriter Roger initially comes up with the song to amuse himself and his wife Anita, whose former classmate Cruella de Vil likes to drop by unannounced. But at the end of the movie, we discover the song is a hit with the public as well. Such a big hit that they can afford to buy a house in the country for Pongo, Perdita, their puppies, and all their new adopted family members. 101 Dalmatians is one of those rare Disney movies with very little music, just the Canine Crunchies jingle, Dalmatian Plantation, and Cruella de Vil. But that last one, our villain song, was quite popular in real life as well and made Cruella de Vil an iconic Disney villain. So iconic that she actually was the first Disney animated villain turned live action, long before Maleficent. We're almost at number 1. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the second most wicked song of all? Talk about a showstopper! One of the reasons that The Little Mermaid ushered in the Disney Renaissance is because it delivered across the board, including its villain song. This was also the first soundtrack by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who clearly made an impression on the Disney brass and audiences alike by nailing every single musical number. And while Part of Your World is a perfect princess song, Poor Unfortunate Souls is a perfect villain song. It's a classic Broadway number with shades of burlesque, giving the audience the distinct feeling that a nice young girl like Ariel shouldn't be there. Ashman himself sung the original demo and did such a good job it convinced TV comedian Pat Carroll to take the role. She liked his version of the song so much she copied his performance in several key areas. Before Ursula, many Disney villains hid their ugliness on the inside, and revealing it was a last resort. But this sea witch is loud and proud, a businesswoman who tells it like it is and gets things done. By the end of the number, the contract is signed. And all of this is wonderfully reflected in another piece of brilliant exposition, character definition, and narrative progression by Ashman. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the most wicked song of all? While The Little Mermaid started the Disney Renaissance, The Lion King was its crowning achievement, and once again music was a crucial component. This was the first film in the Disney Renaissance to be made without any input from Howard Ashman or Alan Menken, but another talented musician and showman stepped in, Elton John. Paired with lyricist Tim Rice, who had completed Ashman's work on Aladdin, the result was another Disney soundtrack filled with hit after hit. So, what makes Be Prepared the most wicked Disney song of all? Well, first of all, while John and Rice would pair up again over DreamWorks animation for The Road to El Dorado, they would never recapture the magic of The Lion King. So while Ashman and Menken created 3 impressive soundtracks with The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, The Lion King is a one-time deal. John wanted to write ultra-pop songs for the film, which might explain why they were able to find popularity beyond the film itself. It's the only soundtrack for an animated film to be certified Diamond, which is 10 times platinum, where Frozen currently stands for now. Be Prepared is such a thrilling musical number, and the visuals so compelling it reflects Nazi propaganda, you might be persuaded to join Scar's ranks, which is what makes the song so disturbing. And who knew Jeremy Irons could sing? Move over, Rex Harrison, you're not the only one who can talk sing his way through a musical number in spectacular fashion. What's more, unlike many Disney villains, Scar actually sees the plan detailed in this song through. So those are the most wicked songs in Disney animation. Do you agree? And can Lana Del Rey's version of Once Upon a Dream compete? Be sure to write your thoughts down below. I'm Grace Randolph, and this has been a Movie Bite. You can watch more right now.